When we think of animals in NASCAR, it's usually like this. A poor creature finds itself on track with cars going around in circles at 180 miles per hour. However, there is one animal story in NASCAR that differs from every other one, and that is the story of Jocko Flocko. In March of 1953, Jocko was in an Atlanta pet shop. Little did he know at the time, he was going to have some of the wildest adventures of any monkey in history and leave one of the greatest marks of any animal in sports. Right before we get into the story, make sure you guys subscribe if you haven't already, as we are almost to 70,000 subscribers. If you enjoy, make sure to leave a like as well. It really helps me out a lot and helps me bring in content to you all. Anyway, let's get right into it. Coming into the 1953 NASCAR Grand National season, Tim Flock, the hotshot young driver, looked unbeatable. He came off a dominant 52 season in which he racked up 8 wins in 33 races and capped it off with a championship. The 28-year-old, with 16 wins in just 80 races, had established himself as a top contender. But the 1953 season started off not so fabulously for the Hudson Hornet pilot. It was in late March in 1953 when team owner and sponsor Ted Chester visited an Atlanta pet shop to buy a puppy for a family member's birthday. While there, a monkey caught Ted's eye. Once he saw the animal's name, Jocko, he immediately thought of a connection to his driver, Tim Flock. Jocko Flocko had a great ring to it, and Ted envisioned the monkey riding alongside Flock during a race. So naturally, Ted purchased the monkey, because if nothing else, it would be a fun little gimmick to keep his driver in the spotlight. After all, Flock was not winning, so this could keep eyes on the team. When Ted got to the race shop the following day, he revealed his idea to his driver. Ted went up to Flock and said, "I have an idea. I think we could build a seat for him, get him a little helmet and his own uniform, and we could put him in the race car with you. We need to do something to get some attention for you." He stated, "I thought Ted had been hitting the jug too much. He couldn't be serious. But the more I got to thinking about it, the more I liked it. Jocko Flocko could race with me anytime, if he proved he could handle the Grand National circuit." So, with the plan in place, it was time to execute. But Flock brought up a good point heading into the 5th round of the season at Charlotte, Jocko's first race. NASCAR probably would not approve of strapping a monkey into the car during a live race. Chester replied, "NASCAR is not going to know about it." Tim Flock captured his first pole of the season at Charlotte, while co-driver Jocko was on deck. No one except the 91 crew knew about the monkey. Right before the start of the race, the team installed the passenger seat into the Hudson Hornet high enough to where the monkey could see out of the window, and more importantly, people could see Jocko. Legend has it that entering the first turn at Charlotte, second-place driver Dick Rathman looked over and saw the monkey, and, in shock, almost lost control of his car. The duo led over half of the race, but couldn't close the deal. On the bright side, it was the most speed Flock showed the entire season up to that point. Pulling into the pits, fans lined up to meet, and of course, pet the monkey that had spent the last few hours in a Grand National race. With this momentum, the duo rolled right into the next few races. 6th place, 5th, and 2nd, Flock's best finish of the season. But it wasn't until May 16th, 1953, when the pair found true success. Ted Chester, Tim Flock, and Jocko rolled into Hickory for the 10th round of the season. After 30 laps, the 91 took the lead and never looked back, leading all the way to the checkered flag. They had done it. Jocko had done it. They won. Of course, Jocko joined Tim and Ted in victory lane. Tim joked that he loved working with the monkey, because all he had to do was pay him a banana and 5% of his winnings, and he was happy. He also joked that he'd get bored after the first 100 laps of a race and let Jocko take over. Funnily enough, the passenger side door, which would normally have the driver's name on it, had Jocko Flocko written on it. He was a fan favorite. The kids loved him, and he was a hero. And you're probably wondering, as I was, How was this team able to get away with this? Of course, the first race the crew smuggled Jocko into the car, but after that, everybody knew. NASCAR could not have just let this happen. Well, surprisingly, they did. Bill France, president of NASCAR at the time, was one who never passed up on any sort of free promotion. He simply told NASCAR officials to turn a blind eye to the whole ordeal. There was no compensation for the additional weight or no safety requirements. They just let the team do their thing. After all, what could bring more fans to the stands than a monkey racing alongside the defending champion of the sport? Tim acknowledged it was purely a promotional gimmick, but it turned into an advantage. Tim claimed that whenever he was alongside a driver, they would see Jocko lose concentration for just a moment, and then he'd pass them. Jocko also came with some inconveniences. Getting a hotel room, for example, is a little tougher with a monkey. One time, Tim, his brother Fonty, and Jocko got motel rooms for a weekend where they all had their own room. Yes, Jocko got his own room. But when Tim and Fonty were gone, a maid came by to drop off some towels. To the maid's surprise, Jocko had gotten out of his cage and tried to play with her hair. She got scared and ran out of the room screaming, waving her hands in the air. When the Flock brothers got back, they were notified they were getting kicked out for the night and they had to sleep in their cars. Unfortunately, after this amazing win, things took a turn for the absolute worse. 32nd at Martinsville and 22nd in Columbus. These were not only bad finishes, but the team had poor qualifying form as well. The team needed to turn things around quickly. Heading into the new Raleigh Speedway, anything short of a win was going to be a disappointment. The 91 team qualified great, and was in the mix all day up front. It was a grueling 300-lap race at the new 1-mile track, but for the first time in a few weeks, the car was actually holding together. Heading into the final 100 laps, the only car ahead of Tim was brother Fonty. But as he was catching Fonty, Jocko slipped out of his harness. And as they say, curiosity killed the cat. Well, in this case, curiosity almost killed the monkey. As Tim explained, there was a little trapdoor in the floorboard that he would pull up to check the front right tire wear. Jocko must have seen him do this dozens of times. So, under green flag conditions at full speed, Jocko pulled up the trapdoor, looked down, and the front right tire zipped him on the head. Jocko went completely berserk, screaming and jumping all over the place. Dick Passwater, who finished 5th in the race, had this to say about it. "Yeah, I saw that monkey jumping around in there, but I didn't know what was happening. He was like a bird in there. He'd be on one side of the car, and the next thing you know, he'd be on the other side. That monkey probably thought somebody was trying to kill him." It was hard enough wheeling one of those heavy stock cars back then, but add in a crazed monkey clawing and screaming at you, it becomes impossible to drive. Given these conditions, Tim had to make a pit stop to get the monkey out of his car. Or get the monkey off his back, if you will. Under the pit stop, Tim lost second place to Speedy Thompson, a couple of laps, a chance at the win, and $600. As a result, Tim fired his co-pilot. But after this race, Jocko was never the same. He refused to eat. The incident definitely messed the poor guy up. Unfortunately, soon after, he had to be euthanized. In the following weeks, some rumors started going around that Jocko got physically sick from driving around in all those circles. However, Tim told a little girl that Jocko had passed away. Of course, naturally, she started crying, and then Tim realized he had to come up with a better story. From that point on, when somebody would ask, he would reply that he had to fire Jocko because he couldn't sign his autograph, which makes for a much better story. Tim went on to win 22 more races and another championship, but his lone win in 1953 came with Jocko alongside him. When Tim died in 1998, even the New York Times couldn't publish his obituary without mentioning Jocko Flocko. He truly earned the title of the fastest monkey in the world. Anyways guys, that's it for this video. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you are new, and so you never miss a video. And if you have suggestions for any stories, any crazy stories like this one that you want me to cover in detail, just let me know down in the comments down below, and I will definitely consider it. But that's all from me for this one. I hope you did enjoy. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.